Welcome to the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube. For more information on our non-dual programs that we have and free resources, or to visit our online sanctuary, go to awakening-together.org. This video is the second part of the mini-series with Cay Villars. For more information on Cay Villars, visit her website, joininginlight.net.
Namaste and welcome, beloveds.
Namaste y bienvenidos, amados.
My name is Cay Villars,
Mi nombre es Cay Villars
and we thank you for joining in the holy purpose with us with Awakening Together.
y estoy agradecida por unirse con nosotros en este santo propósito del despertar, todos juntos.
Now, this is part 2 of a 2-part series.
Esta es la segunda parte de una serie.
In part 1, we talked about how consciousness is a play, how the dream is created, the dream bubble is created.
En la primera parte se habló acerca de cómo el juego se creó en una burbuja
For the desire for something other than infinite light of being.
por el deseo de que haya algún otro aparte del ser.
So thankfully, even though we really have a desire, the consciousness is for a play of something other than infinite reality, we can't change that it's here.
Es el juego de creer que puede haber algún otro en este juego de la conciencia aquí.
So as we talked about last time, it's not difficult to recognize light.
Como lo hablamos la última vez, no es difícil reconocer por qué.
Although for me, it took me a while before I really listened to what Jesus was trying to show me.
No ha sido muy difícil, pues Jesús me lo ha mostrado, ha tratado de mostrármelo.
And except my 7-year-old niece did the headlessway.org pointing experiments, if you've heard of those. So,
Desde hace 7 años ha tratado de mostrarme y ha hecho como un experimentarlo.
where you point and you look to see what's here.
Y mirar y ver el punto de que estamos aquí.
And she started talking about light all the time after that.
Y él ha comenzado a hablarme de la luz.
So the recognition of infinite light is not that difficult. It's at all.
El reconocimiento de la luz infinita no es difícil, es todo.
And in A Course in Miracles, it's called the Holy Instant.
En el curso de milagros se llama el instante santo.
And basically, in consciousness, the desire is so bad to deny it, we can only take it for about an instant.
Y en la conciencia, en el juego de la conciencia, es el deseo de negar ese instante santo.
So we're talking about how in Satsang, you know, in the contemplation of light in Satsang.
Ok, eso es lo que hacemos en el Satsang, en la contemplación de la luz.
Before time began, you can contemplate that.
Antes de que los tiempos comenzaran, podíamos contemplarlo.
And it's very revelatory. You might get like these love hits just from contemplating inner light.
Era todo lo que había, la contemplación de la luz.
And then in the next satsang, you can see the same beings coming up going, "It was fabulous. I saw the light. What happened?"
Y en el próximo veremos, la luz está aquí. ¿Qué es lo que ha pasado? ¿Qué pasa?
I lost the light. It's gone. It's missing in action. MIA. The light's MIA.
Ok, sí. Es la luz que está aquí. Está la luz en mí.
Of course, you're usually not laughing like, you know.
Nosotros usualmente reímos, ustedes saben.
But it's how, what's helpful to understand is that's how consciousness plays to deny divinity.
Y es muy útil el reconocer cómo el juego de la conciencia trata de negar la divinidad.
All of consciousness is a deny divinity device.
Todo lo que hace la conciencia es negar la divinidad.
So last time we talked about the crazy dream bubble.
La última vez que hablé acerca de la burbuja loca,
And how the energy of desire it's a dream. It's a desire for an experience other than infinite light.
es como el deseo de experimentar a alguien más de lo
So
que es
in-
la luz.
So in
divina.
spiritual awakening, you might hear a lot about things. They call it shadow work.
En el despertar espiritual justamente es despejar esa nube. Es un trabajo de despejar la sombra.
And in A Course in Miracles, they call it forgiveness.
En un curso de milagros se llama perdón.
Okay. And then you hear terms like, well, you're forgiving what never happened.
Bueno, y ustedes entonces traducen que el perdón de algo que nunca sucedió.
So today we're going to talk about really how to cease to deny inner light through desires.
Hoy vamos a hablar cómo en realidad insistimos en negar la luz.
So now you have a play in consciousness where consciousness blows out with Genesis. Genesis is the storyline of consciousness miscreating a world.
Y todo eso comienza con el Génesis. El Génesis es la historia de cómo creamos o fabricamos el mundo.
And then in A Course in Miracles, and if you look in the Bible, you'll see that Adam fell asleep.
Y si buscamos en la Biblia y en el curso de milagros, nos damos cuenta que fue el momento en que nos fuimos, o sea, dormimos, en que nos dormimos en el sueño.
In nowhere in the Bible does it ever say Adam woke up.
Y en la Biblia no dice en que en algún momento se haya despertado.
So he starts to dream. He dreams of this punitive God, the God's coming to get me God.
Y después comienza entonces el sueño donde se piensa de que Dios viene a castigarnos.
So consciousness is actually, it's always whole. There's only wholeness. There isn't parts and pieces.
Sí, el juego de la conciencia siempre es, en vez de hablar de la totalidad, quiere solo dividir en pedazos.
But through the miscreation of Maya or the dream, it hides in little millions of little parts and pieces of fragmentation.
Okay, de eso habla la fabricación, de fragmentar en miles y miles de pedazos, en miles de situaciones.
And those fragments, that is the miscreation of the concept of a subconscious mind.
Y en esas miles de pedazos está la conceptualización de la conciencia.
Which is intentional memory of God amnesia.
Es la intencional memoria inicial de Dios.
What happened? You wake up and go, what happened?
¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa?
So it's a play to forget the choice to say, I don't want to have anything whatsoever to do with God.
Y nos olvidamos de que sencillamente fue una elección, que no queríamos saber nada de Dios.
Meanwhile, everything's perfect. There's no way to get away from God. You can swim, you can run, you can't get away from God.
Quieres huir, quieres estar lejos de Dios, quieres correr de Dios.
So there are all these concepts in the subconscious mind, the desire for an experience to say no to divinity.
Es el juego de la conciencia de decirle que no a la divinidad.
So spiritual awakening, if you use Jesus's definition,
Si utiliza el despertar espiritual, si utilizas la definición de Jesús,
is an unbroken state of peace, joy, and happiness.
es el no romper la paz y la felicidad.
Infinite celebration of all that is, like Holy Communion.
Es la celebración infinita de todo lo que es de la comunión.
And then when you're watching these things, I know I was watching all these satsangs going, well, that's nice to talk about. Where is it? Because I'm sure not feeling.
Y en este satsang vamos a hablar acerca de lo que eso es.
So it's very humbling. And I know many of you have talked about doing this kind of work to try and find out, okay, how come I feel like a haunted house?
Ok, ¿cómo vamos a hablar acerca de esto?
You know, my head feels like a beehive. Bzz, you know, there's like all these thoughts like bats flying around.
Sí, este pensamiento es como una abeja que suena.
Okay, so those are all through the desire, and we can put the link maybe to the last video, or you can find it. Just search Cay Villars and Awakening Together. You'll find part 2 that's a little diagram that just shows you how this energy pours in to hide from consciousness is hiding from God.
Como podemos ver en los videos anteriores, cómo Cay Villars habla acerca de eso y cómo es un juego de bebés, donde se pretende hacer de eso un juego de la conciencia.
And then chose to forget the decision to deny itself love.
Y es olvidar la decisión de olvidar el amor de Dios.
Now that's the key.
Esa es la llave.
Because the ego does not want to see that this is a chosen experience.
Porque el ego no quiere ver que es una experiencia decidida de experimentar.
However, when you grok that, when you go down in this, and many of you probably already starting to get a clue, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I did choose this.
Ok, cuando vamos profundamente ya tenemos una pista acerca de lo que está sucediendo. Está sucediendo esto.
Now, it's the way out. I'll just say, this is the way out. When you see that you chose it, then you can see you don't need to choose that anymore.
Y es lo que te dice, que no tienes la necesidad de elegir esto no más, otra vez.
But the ego is going to fight tooth and nail not to see this.
Y el ego va a buscar de que niegues eso.
So as soon as the inward looking starts, you feel, I can remember, this energy comes and sickness comes and all kinds of things to distract.
Ok, siempre va a haber señales y signos que son todo tipo de distracciones en realidad.
And so now you need to accept the power you say you have to say no to all that. I'm looking anyway.
Ok, y tienes que aceptar ahora el poder que tú tienes al decir que no vas a aceptar nada más de ninguna manera.
It is so helpful. I'm so grateful for Muji because he'd go, keep looking.
Es como dice Muji, busca cuidadosamente.
Papaji, keep looking.
Papaji, busca.
Now, as I was looking with Muji, I might have mentioned it last time, I was contemplating inner light.
Era viendo cómo Muji estaba la última vez que contempló en la luz.
And there are all kinds, you'll see there are all kinds of spiritual awakening experiences where you're going to recognize one.
Todo lo que significa el despertar espiritual es reconocer la unidad.
Okay, and I'm thinking, yay, I did it. Well, who's talking? I did it.
Y dice, okay, sí, lo hice.
Okay. And the reason Muji says keep quiet.
Y la razón por la que Muji dijo observa silenciosamente.
Because the first thing the ego wants to do is to talk about an awakening experience.
Porque lo primero que no quiere el ego es que hables acerca de la experiencia del despertar.
Okay. So what we're going for, like for what I realize when speaking to Jesus, is unbroken state of peace, love, and joy. Just joy, pure joy, unbroken.
Lo primero que hacemos es romper con la paz y el disfrute de Jesús.
So, and anything other than that means that there's more subconscious content that needs to be, that's hidden, that needs to become into awareness, you could call it.
Sí, de interrumpir y de no permitir el despertar.
So, I was contemplating light.
Entonces, contemplando la luz.
And you know how you get those realization moments, like,
es un momento de realización.
Okay, and the realization moment was, it was, even though you can read about it, you can hear about it, all these things, but until it, like Muji says, it detonates on inside fully, it's
puedes
a concept.
leer, puedes escuchar y puedes hacer muchas cosas, pero es algo que llena, es algo completo,
And
más allá del concepto.
What detonated was the realization that if I was not experiencing the peace of that light consistently, there was a desire not to have it.
No me estoy... can you repeat, please, Cay?
The realization came that if I was not experiencing the peace of that infinite light consistently, there was still a desire not to experience it.
Ok, el reconocimiento, la realización viene de experimentar de que no son partes, sino de que somos el ser, de esa unidad, de ese ser que somos.
So within a few months, I just started typing one day, just typing.
Hace unos meses atrás comencé a escribir acerca de eso.
Okay, and I've talked about how it just naturally, that sounds strange to say it was naturally, but it really just started a conversation with Jesus.
Okay, y comencé a ver que es en realidad muy natural el comenzar una conversación con Jesús.
Now, I'm laughing because I had heard him before for quite a few years, but I guess I finally was going to admit it. I could hear him.
Okay, unos años atrás no podía admitirlo.
And what he did was he started coaching me exactly how to find where he would show me the subconscious content and help me see where I didn't want to release it and help me release all of it.
Y él comenzó entonces a indicarme, a llevarme para que pudiera hacer las cosas de manera correcta y exacta.
So you can call it the Holy Spirit, you can call it Jesus, it's the voice, it's your voice for wholeness.
Puedes llamarlo Espíritu Santo, puedes llamarlo Jesús, es tu voz, es la voz de tu totalidad.
And he taught me how and you hear it in a course, so this isn't anything new for anyone in a course, the miracles.
Okay, no es nuevo, eso en realidad se habla en el curso de milagros.
That the voice for God, the voice of wholeness speaks throughout the day, speaks to me throughout the day.
Okay, que la voz de Dios habla a través de ti todo el día.
It's like happiness. First, it doesn't feel so happy hearing that voice.
Y se siente felicidad con esa voz. Yes.
But it's a way to turn back to hear the perspective of wholeness rather than fragmentation of the ego.
Okay, es el no sentir, es sentir la unidad y no la fragmentación del ego.
And when you're in the play of fragmentation, you're inside where you can never solve the problem.
Cuando estás dentro de lo que es la fragmentación, nunca vas a resolver el problema.
In beliefs and thoughts and emotions, all that stuff.
y creer en los pensamientos, o sea, en las creencias, en los pensamientos, en las emociones, todas esas cosas.
Okay. Where the issue is, it's not in releasing emotions.
¿Dónde está la clave? No está en las emociones.
It is looking at releasing the desire for the experience that is to say no to God.
Es el buscar, el trascender esas emociones para llegar a Dios.
And Jesus says in a course, in your willingness, I will reveal to you the underlying conditions.
Y Jesús dice en el curso que a través de su voluntad puedes alcanzar.
So the underlying conditions, the desire for an experience of something other than divinity.
Y la línea divisoria está más allá, esa línea divisoria y está más allá la divinidad, tu divinidad.
So to be 100% clear,
y para estar 100% seguro,
everyone, without exception, there is no exception to everyone's ability to hear this voice for wholeness.
Todos sin excepción pueden escuchar esa voz.
Okay. The only challenge is the subconscious desire not to hear our own voice for wholeness.
El único reto que se tiene es que la conciencia no quiere escuchar esa voz.
So then Jesus says, okay, go to the Course in Miracles.
Entonces Jesús dice, bueno, vamos al curso de milagros.
And start making a list. Search for the word you believe.
Y entonces va y haces una lista acerca de las creencias.
So a big fat list, like 80 or more, you believe.
Exacto, una gran lista de 80 o más.
Okay. And then he showed me under each of those beliefs the desire to deny inner light.
Y me muestra los deseos de las negaciones.
Okay, so we'll take one out of, so they're in Jesus a New Covenant, 80 of them.
Jesús un Nuevo Convenio habla acerca de 80 deseos.
And it was humbling. I've said this before. I thought I had been forgiving my brains out.
Y es increíble, sí. Es ver que son tantos para verlos y sacarlos fuera.
I just, and he'd show me like every one of these. It's like, oh my gosh, that's still there in the subconscious mind.
Y él dice, oh Dios mío, de que todo el mundo dice, oh Dios mío, hay tantas cosas en mi mente subconsciente.
It's humbling, but it's happy humbling because it's the path to seeing that we chose it and we don't need to choose it anymore.
Sí, y es algo que es felizmente increíble, pero después que lo elegimos, no lo elegimos más. Después que lo hacemos, no lo elegimos más.
So here's an example.
Ajá, aquí tenemos un ejemplo.
You believe that fear is involuntary.
Tú tienes el temor de ser voluntario.
Thus, you desire an experience in which fear feels involuntary, out of your control.
Y tienes el deseo de la experiencia de ser voluntario.
Now, if you look in the play in consciousness, it's constantly getting reflections. Oh, fear's out of my control. I have no control over that.
Y cuando miras a través de lo que es el juego de las conciencias, te das cuenta que es un temor de estar fuera de control.
But you'll
de no
see
tener control.
Really quickly, we have light circles to clear these desires, okay, twice a day.
Y puedes ver rápidamente cómo está este deseo inconsciente en la conciencia 2 veces al día.
But you will quickly find what I learned about these desires. If I stayed with the desire, you can't be in a state of fear. If you're with the desire comes before fear.
Y puedes ver entonces este deseo cómo ha estado antes este deseo presente.
See, as soon as you realize, and I realized from talking to Jesus that fear and terror, this existential terror is a desired experience. That's mind-blowing.
Eso es todo. Y entonces ver que este deseo es el temor de experimentar de que no suceda y de que no tener el control.
Yeah, I mean, I started working with him immediately on that to look at every desire I might have had for terror.
Y podemos comenzar ya a ver que todo es como un miedo, un terror.
But what could we want more than to work with the one who knows, who's already transcended consciousness?
¿Y cómo podemos nosotros no querer aprender más o seguir adelante para trascender estos deseos subconscientes?
And for students of A Course in Miracles, why not go to the one who wrote it?
Y los estudiantes de un curso de milagros van a la raíz.
Because you can.
Y puedes.
You can sit down with this book. Well, this is a good book to start with, Jesus, A New Covenant, because you can sit down, you can ask him every line. He'll tell you about everything. You'll see it. You can hear him.
Sí, puedes escucharlo y puedes ir con Jesús en un nuevo convenio y verlo y mirarlo.
So the purpose of these twice daily light circles is that you're joining, because it's like a tuning fork for hearing the voice for God.
El propósito de estas dos uniones en los círculos es de que puedas unirte y así de esta manera poder escuchar la voz que habla por Dios.
When two or more are gathered in his name, he wasn't kidding about that.
Cuando dos o más se unen en su nombre, pueden hacerlo.
And you tune in and you look at a desire. Jesus, do I have this desire in my subconscious mind? Yes or no?
Y puedes entonces preguntar, Jesús, ¿existe en mí este deseo en mi mente subconsciente, sí o no?
And you can see, especially some of you, those that have been already working on clearing their mind, it's if you want to hear Jesus, there's nothing that's going to stop you from hearing him.
Si quieres escuchar la voz de Jesús, no te detengas, tienes que hacerlo.
And it saves so much time.
Y puedes hacerlo durante mucho tiempo.
Because he's not saying, what he says is, join with me in a moment of light. When you have like an upset or a twitch, or call it a twitch.
Cuando en cualquier momento, cuando te sientas incómodo, cuando te sientas fuera de ti, puedes hacerlo y unirte en cualquier momento.
Consciousness wants to generate a story, because it's a storyline about why it's upset. This is why. I'm upset because...
el juego de la conciencia, lo que le encantan las historias y hacer una línea de tiempo para contar las historias.
But instead, in the light circles, we go pause in a moment of stillness and deep inner listening.
Can you repeat again, please?
In the light circles, we pause instead of going into the story. There are no stories in light circles.
Ok, nosotros en el curso, en los círculos de luz, no vamos por la historia, vamos sencillamente por el deseo.
It's learning to listen to that voice for wholeness's interpretation.
Y no vamos por la totalidad, no por la interpretación.
Okay, and then to be coached, no, here's what you need to look at.
Y seguimos su guía y pedimos que nos guíe acerca de lo que tenemos que mirar acerca de eso.
It's not the story in the world of who stole my cheese, if you know.
Y no es una historia del mundo acerca de lo que pasó. Yes.
Who stole my cheese? Any of you from corporate America know that little book, But it's the same thing. It was trying.
Sí, es lo mismo, es la misma cosa que un curso de milagros.
This is who stole my God, it just stop.
Eso es lo que dice Dios.
No, I'm going to go find out in my mind, in my subconscious mind, where I actually say that I don't like to be all this hell of consciousness, I go down in the subconscious mind to go, oh my gosh, I generated the whole darn thing.
Sí, voy profundamente a mi conciencia a buscar dónde estoy generando esa idea de no aceptar mi divinidad.
But you notice, those of you that have been looking, you kind of notice as you start trying to peek under the covers, man. Like I say, the kitchen sink, stuff starts coming out.
Sí, vemos dónde estamos en nuestra mente cocinando y buscando todo eso, a ver dónde están todas esas ideas.
There's a reason why there's a lesson in A Course in Miracles called I am determined to see.
Ajá, por eso dice en el curso, a esa lección, estoy determinado a ver.
Because we got to see all the places. And until he started showing me all 80 of these, where I was determined not to see it at a subconscious level.
Ok, sí, porque de esa manera podemos mirar y ver dónde, en qué lugares de nuestra mente estamos determinados a no ver.
I mean, it's very humbling when he was showing me, no, I thought, oh, I really want miracles. And then he takes you down there and you go, I don't want one shred of a miracle. Not one shred.
Sí, eso es muy cómico cuando no acepto porque no quiero ver los milagros, no quiero ver.
A miracle being. A miracle.
Los milagros del ser.
See, I thought it was at first kind of some kind of miracle fairy thing going on.
Sí, esa fue la primera vez de los milagros.
But what it actually is it's a decision to no longer invest in the desire to say no to God.
Es la decisión de no invertir más en seguir mirando lo que no es de Dios.
So we need the voice for wholeness to help us negotiate through this asteroid belt of thoughts that we have about the world.
Es mirar esa voz y no estar dispuesto a negociar con este mundo acerca de lo que pudiera ofrecernos.
So we have something called the Join in Light Miracle Worksheet.
Nosotros tenemos algo que se llama la hoja de uniones en la luz.
And the only purpose of that is to have a format for you to ask the voice, the inner voice of wholeness, please show me where I'm just trying to kill peace out of my mind right now.
Ok, el único propósito de esa página es indicarnos cómo hacer las preguntas y cómo manejarnos dentro de ese círculo y cómo en nuestra mente tratamos de aniquilar nuestro ser.
So, up here we're going, oh my gosh, I want to be awake. I want to see the truth like this. The ego's going like that.
Y entonces estoy diciendo, oh Dios, quiero ver la verdad, quiero ver el despertar y quiero ver más allá del ego.
But it's humbling and illuminating when you go down in the subconscious mind with Jesus and you're seeing you don't want one shred of divinity down there in the subconscious mind.
Y es muy iluminador cuando vamos con Jesús y vemos entonces debajo de nuestro nivel de conciencia qué es lo que hay allí.
Look, I'm asking him if I can say this. Yeah. Okay.
Estoy preguntando acerca de lo que dice.
So I'm looking and I asked him, I said, so Jesus, would I rather die a horrible death and see the truth of inner life?
Ok, estoy buscando, dime dónde hay el deseo de morir, de negar lo que soy.
And that is exactly what he says in A Course in Miracles. Consciousness is a play. We'd rather die a horrible death in a body than actually see the truth of love's presence, and there's no death.
Eso es exactamente lo que se dice en Un Curso de Milagro, ese deseo absurdo de negar y creer que somos un cuerpo.
So as soon as he said, yes, you do desire horror, I started working with him on that. Absolutely.
Y sí, entonces vemos, sí, que es un deseo y lo reconocemos, sí, absolutamente.
So changing our mind, we're infinite, powerful beings. You can change your mind at any time and wake up like that.
Y podemos cambiar nuestra mente en cualquier momento y sencillamente despertar.
But it's rare because there's an addiction to those desires and having all these experiences and arguing with Jesus about keeping them.
Y es extraño porque es como una adicción y entonces tenemos que ir con Jesús para poder hacerlo.
See, it's not funny when you're in it, but you'll find yourself as these deep desires core. He brings you to the core. Remember the core.
Y vas y te das cuenta que es un deseo tan profundo, tan profundo.
I mean, you from the diagram, if you remember that diagram from last week, or we have handouts that we can send, but you know, where you saw the trees with all the leaves and how he brings you to the root, to cut the root at the level of desire.
Si recuerdan el diagrama de la semana pasada, donde se veían las ramas, pero que habían raíces muy profundas que se representan los deseos.
And you'll see when you start looking with him, he'll show you, if you ask him, he'll show you where you have heaven and hell flipped. That's deep.
Yes. Y si buscas guiado a través, o sea, con él vas a ver cuán profundo están todas esas cosas en tu mente. Yeah.
That means that in the subconscious mind, it actually, there's a belief that dying a horrible death is a good deal.
Sí, ya. Y vas entonces a ver que muy profundo en tu mente subconsciente están esas cosas que es la que hacen que pienses, que tengas esas creencias.
Okay. That somehow these plays of control and out of control.
Ese es ese juego del control, fuera de control.
And attack and victimizer.
El ataque, víctimas y victimarios.
Underneath it has to be seen that these are all desired experiences.
Y también el ver o el parecer que son otras experiencias y deseos.
And that there's a perception that through these experiences that love or peace or freedom can be found.
Y que hay otro tipo de experiencias que se parecen a la paz, al amor.
And there's a term in like psychotherapy, psychology called secondary gain.
Que en psicología se llama el segundo juego.
If you do not see the secondary gain and release that, meaning the belief that there's some kind of heaven coming from this desire.
Y si no lo haces, este segundo juego es lo que hace que creas que el cielo está fuera de tu alcance o de tu deseo.
It will keep coming back and you'll get to re-experience it over and over like a nightmare.
Y entonces, bueno, regresas y regresas a la misma experiencia.
This is the reason why you might have gone, oh my goodness, I have worked on that so much. Why is it still there? Like,
y es por eso digo, bueno, ¿y por qué me vuelve a suceder esto? ¿Por qué siempre me sucede esto?
Because there's still hidden secondary gain down there.
Sí, porque tienes todavía una segunda intención, un segundo deseo escondido.
So the power of going down with Jesus, the voice for wholeness.
Y el poder está en ir a Jesús para el poder de la totalidad.
And this is so helpful because I would ask him, have I fully cleared that from my subconscious mind?
Y eso es muy útil, puesto que vas con él a mirar muy profundo en tu nivel subconsciente de la conciencia.
Till there's not one scrap left, not one ooch left of saying no to divinity on that.
Y vas y no buscas, o sea, busca para que no niegues tu divinidad.
Have I been willing to no longer value that desire?
Y tengas la voluntad o la decisión de no valorar tu voluntad más allá de los deseos.
So that voice for wholeness is invaluable to get to know that and then just have a fireside chat.
Esa voz de la totalidad o ese deseo de la totalidad es invaluable.
You know, as I've said before about A Course in Miracles.
Y lo vimos antes en el curso de milagros.
Because I kept asking Jesus, is everyone going to hear this voice like I hear it?
Sí, Jesús, si todos pueden ver esa voz escuchar esa voz, todos pueden obtener, todos pueden verla, todos pueden tenerla.
Yes, I've never got no for that. Yes, you can hear it.
Sí, tú puedes escucharlas.
And once you really, we just have to remove the desires not to hear it and forgive those.
Y tienes sencillamente que eliminar ese deseo de no querer escucharla.
Look,
Eso es todo.
what could be better than to open any text that he gives you and then have a conversation with wholeness for his interpretation directly?
Y qué bueno es poder abrirte y poder escuchar y tener esa comunicación directa sin ninguna interpretación.
In A Course in Miracles, it says the voice for God speaks to me throughout the day.
En un curso de milagro dice que la voz de Dios habla conmigo durante todo el día.
It does not say it speaks to some of you throughout the day.
Y no dice que habla con algunos de ustedes.
So you can't hear. So this joining, this way he's giving to join through the Joining Light Miracle Worksheet, you're learning to listen, to hear that voice, and then speak that voice.
Y estas uniones te permiten que puedas escuchar esa voz y con esta hoja de instrucciones puedes de manera guiada aprender a reconocer y a escuchar esa voz.
Because we do not see how much we speak with the forked tongue.
Sí, porque no hablamos con nuestra lengua. No es una voz que se escucha con la lengua.
So through that hearing the voice and speaking what he's telling you and coaching you, it helps you learn it.
Y hacerlo de manera guiada es algo que se aprende.
And you'll see, so many beings like fight. Oh, I didn't want to speak that voice.
Y puedes decir, bueno, el ser puede decir o pretender creer que dices, no, yo no quiero escuchar esa voz.
But when you realize it's your voice of wholeness that expresses through you.
Yes, pero cuando lo trasciendes y traspasas ese temor o ese miedo, te das cuenta que esa voz habla a través de ti y esa voz eres tú.
So to speak the voice of wholeness is to celebrate all that you are.
Porque la voz de la totalidad es la celebración de todo lo que tú eres.
So, and it's just so brilliant. A Course in Miracles, it's so brilliant.
Eso es lo más emocionante, lo más brillante de un curso de milagros.
Because what he's teaching us to do is quit looking out into fragmentation, look toward wholeness for everything.
Porque es ver y trascender, mirar rápidamente acerca de tu totalidad y romper con lo que es la fragmentación.
And the more you look in, you'll see it's just like this love, this infinite love. It's a reminder of Holy Communion when you're talking to that voice for wholeness.
Y a medida que miras profundamente acerca de esa unidad, te vas a observar más amorosamente en esa totalidad.
So it is not difficult to clear desires from the subconscious mind. It's really easy if you're determined to do it.
No es difícil ver los deseos subconscientes de la mente y verlos claramente. Es sencillamente proponernos hacerlo guiados con Jesús.
The challenge is the ego is more than willing to get involved with helping with that process.
Sí, el reto es que el ego quiere involucrarse en eso que nosotros hacemos.
So being attentive to that voice to keep the ego out of it is essential.
Sí, y cuidarnos de lo que es la voz del ego es esencial.
That's why Jesus said, consciously chosen miracles are misguided.
Jesús dice que la conciencia habla acerca de los deseos fabricados.
Because how is consciousness going to choose for a changing its mind when consciousness is the addiction to avoiding divinity?
Porque los deseos de la conciencia o el juego de la conciencia es una adicción a negar la divinidad.
So there's two parts to this clearing desires, okay? There's this deep looking
hay dos partes en este deseo de la conciencia. El buscar rápidamente.
Okay, they're speaking that voice, it's learning to hear it and speak it. And so there's not so much investment in the storyline and in the play of consciousness.
Y habla acerca de no buscar la historia, la línea del tiempo, y no buscar la historia.
And being coached to that secondary game that's kind of hanging on to some of these plays in consciousness.
Y el segundo es ver cómo eso está en el juego de la conciencia.
And being shown by him where you do not want to change your mind about who you are, who you think you are.
Ok, y mirar cómo eso es lo que quiere negar lo que tú eres y decir lo que no eres, quién no eres.
That voice is just a reminder of everything that you are.
Esta voz te recuerda todo lo que tú eres.
It's a reminder of Holy Communion, really.
Sí, es la mente de la comunidad.
And the light
Comunión.
circles, they're merely just to see that, to clear out all those ideas and see that indeed salvation does come through your brother.
En los círculos de luz puedes ver que la salvación viene a través de tu hermano.
So we have just a little bit of time left. I don't know if we have time for a question, but I want to try and get the link to the worksheet into the chat.
Ajá, quiero compartir con ustedes el link de la hoja de trabajo en el chat.
Let's see if I can get it in there.
Sí, vamos a tratar de colocarlo allí.
Now the light circles, so I just put it in the chat.
Estoy colocándolo en el chat.
And there should be information if you want to join. We're also looking for facilitators. Oh my gosh, this is a beautiful seva.
Ok, si quieren hacerlo, entonces pueden buscar por facilitadores.
So if you feel the call to this, we're training facilitators to help go deep into the mind to release these desires.
Y pueden allí encontrar facilitadores que puedan ayudarlos a ir profundamente para superar estos deseos.
So there should be contact information for how to contact us in there if you're interested or know others that are interested in really doing these deep dives into the mind to clear desires.
Ok, si quieren, pueden consultarlo si desean más información acerca de cómo hacer las uniones y de cómo tener más información acerca de superar estos deseos.
And the other reason why that voice is so essential.
Y otras razones por las cuales esta voz es esencial.
Well, because it's our natural voice for wholeness and celebration.
Bueno, esto es porque es nuestra voz natural de la celebración de la totalidad.
But because consciousness is such an addiction to denial of divinity.
Y el juego de la conciencia sencillamente es el negar la divinidad, la luz de la divinidad.
It is that learning to hear that voice and follow the guidance of that voice, where it tells you to do, what it tells you to do.
Y aprender a seguir esta voz de manera guiada, te va diciendo qué es lo que tienes que hacer.
Because those assignments are the way that the spirit is going to show you where the desires are in your mind that deny divinity through your assignments.
Porque así es como el espíritu te va a mostrar dónde está el deseo escondido de querer negar tu divinidad con las asignaciones.
That voice teaches you to move as wholeness.
Esta voz te lleva y te guía hasta tu totalidad, te enseña la totalidad.
It's the undoing of the doer.
Está haciendo todo dentro de ti.
Just checking to see if there are any questions in the chat.
¿Hay alguna pregunta? Vamos a chequear si hay alguna pregunta.
So the light circles are every night at 7 p.m. and 8:30 a.m. Central.
Ok, todas las noches a las 7 de la noche, hora central.
And this joining, but we have the ability, if you really need someone to join with, we can try and connect you with someone at other times. This is so important.
Eso es muy importante porque si ustedes tienen la necesidad de conectarse con alguien porque necesitan hacerlo, desde allí pueden hacerlo. Esto es muy importante.
We call it jumping a join.
Y podemos llamar para entonces hacer un encuentro, una llamada.
To look and see what's driving the upset.
Para ver cómo manejamos esa incomodidad.
And that it's always a desire not to see or admit inner light. It's always that.
Siempre es mirar el deseo.
But
solamente eso.
But it takes, I'll just say, it takes, and many of you already know this, it takes a lot of clearing of these things, a lot of it, and very consistent dedication to it, if you want a fully purified mind.
Si tú quieres entonces poderlo tener claramente en tu mente, necesita una dedicación consistente.
If the call of your heart is to know the kingdom of heaven within.
Y hacer este llamado es estar con él en el reino de los cielos.
Then Jesus is giving a very specific means for you to learn to speak with him and be guided to him directly to unified consciousness and beyond.
Okay, Jesús me ha dicho.
Yes, that's my last.
Okay, Jesús me ha dicho que es importante el hacer esas uniones y poder estar claro. Can you repeat again, please?
Well, Jesus is giving a very specific way to be guided by him, to unified consciousness.
Ok, Jesús está siendo muy específico de seguir su guía para poder tener el despertar de la conciencia.
And beyond.
Y más allá.
Cay, Marisol has her hand up and we only have 6 minutes left. So
okay, here we go. Marisol, I love you, Marisol. It's so beautiful.
Hola, Mary. Es tan hermoso.
Thank you so much for the teaching. It was wonderful. And I have to say, it's been very interesting listening to it, understanding both languages. What came through for me, I really was like, wow, it's like how, I was really, really concentrating, like to listen, because I would get distracted when I would hear it then in Spanish. But then it was like this kind of demonstration for me of how kind of like when the voice of truth is speaking, and then it's like,
okay, just pause 1 minute so Lisbeth can translate for the sound.
Okay. Sí, don't worry. Okay, ella está emocionada conversando acerca de que a pesar de que habían otro idioma, ella trataba de estar concentrada en lo que se estaba diciendo y que quería saber acerca de cómo es lo de escuchar la voz. Can you continue, please?
No, well, what I was saying is like, it was a nice demonstration of how, like, it's like the both voices are going on at the same time. It's like the voice for truth and then the voice of the mind. And it was like, and then I felt like, oh my God, I have to concentrate, like to really kind of listen to, it was a good demonstration.
Okay, but we can do it. We are son of God. Ok, sí, pero podemos hacer. Ella dice que es casi como un poco difícil escuchando tantas voces el concentrarse, pero que pudo hacerlo. Bueno, y como le dije yo, somos el Santo Hijo de Dios.
So I just wanted to ask you, Cay, so are we all like fragmentations? I had to write it down. We're all fragmentations of the whole coming back into itself, like piece by piece. Is that kind of like?
Ok, Cay, todo lo que es la fragmentación y la unión viene de poco a poco o viene todo de una vez.
You can think of it that way, little parts and pieces.
Tú puedes pensar de que es en pequeñas partes y en piezas.
See, every belief is it's an attempt to have a fragment. Every belief is an attempt to experience a fragment.
Cada creencia es como el creer que está fragmentado, que hay fragmentos.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Is there more?
There was a chat question
Oh,
about the times again, the times.
Oh, the times for joining. Okay, really quickly, the times for joining is Central Time at 8:30 in the morning. It really 8:30, 9:30 is the course lesson, and then followed by trying to clear all the denials that the lesson is true.
Ok, la unión en las mañanas son a las 7:30. Se comienza con la lección del día y luego se continúa con una unión para ver los deseos.
And then at 7 p.m., you're just looking at desires together.
Y a las 7 de la noche para ver los deseos juntos.
And the Spanish beings come at the same time and go into a different breakout room.
Ok, y en la sesión de español se ve en un salón aparte, en un área aparte.
We have 2 minutes left and Lori has her hand up.
Okay, Lori.
Just thank you so much. Thank you for sharing this. This has helped my life so much.
Gracias por
Practicing
compartir.
this.
We love you,
Yeah, but-
Lori.
We love you, Laura.
Everyone here
Te
loves
amamos,
you.
Lori.
Love you. And right before, I was just so grateful because I could not see that I was creating, that these desires for experience, I was creating them.
Eso es muy interesante porque ese deseo de la fabricación es muy interesante.
So I know we're coming up on the end, but it's a gift. And hello, everybody. I love you all, and I'm gonna mute. Bye.
We love you too, Lori. We love awakening together and all of you so devoted to God.
Te amamos, sí, vamos a despertar juntos, amamos mucho a Dios.
Namaste, everyone.
Namaste para todos.
Thank you again for watching this mini-series with Cay Villars. We hope you'll come and join us right in the sanctuary there at awakening-together.org. Click on Online Sanctuary and the drop-down menu, look for Enter the Sanctuary. We have tons of free resources and audios if you're interested in the non-dual path, the direct path. For more information on Cay Villars, you can visit her website, joininginlight.net. Have a beautiful day.